say it's always about the money, and they're almost always right. People say it's never about a player's commitment to his team, to his city, and they're usually right. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 6, Marlins 4. The great, and I mean great, Andrew McCutchen with a 3-run homer that put him at 20 for the season. He's 37 years old. He just hit his 20th bomb. I know, the team's fallen off of almost everybody's radar. I get that. I appreciate it. But man, I hope that doesn't get lost. That's a moment for this season, for this extraordinary individual who's always found a way to rise above the mess that's around him. This was Kutch's 8th season in Pittsburgh of 20-plus home runs, his 10th overall. He's now 5 total home runs shy of Roberto Clemente, who, of course, did spend his entire career in Pittsburgh. And wouldn't you know, that's the sort of thing that came to mind for Kutch when speaking with reporters after the game.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's still a sour taste in my mouth with that because I wasn't here my whole career. So it's nice to be able to be with those guys and those greats. It's amazing, but it'd be cool if I was here my whole career and see where I'll be at. But that won't change things, right? So, it is what it is. It's nice, but every time I hear it, I'm like, dang, man, if only, So I just kind of just go cool, and then I just move on.
So remember when he came back a couple of years ago when he was signed and he conducted a bit of an impromptu press conference way up in the right field upper deck with local reporters, which was an odd scene unto itself, but it was also so very Kutch because there was downtown where he and Maria lived for a while, right across the river, back when he used to walk or bike over the bridge to games. And he talked about how when he was playing for other teams, for the Giants, for the Yankees, for the Phillies, and he was still living here, and he still had to drive past this ballpark to get home, how much it would hurt. When he and I talk, when we have our longer conversations, and we had one of those a week ago in Cleveland, when he talks about the city, when he talks about the people, when he talks about the other teams in town, when he talks about TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, Sidney Crosby and Yevgeny Malkin, he's just one of us. That's all he is. And man, if there was a way that you could expunge, first off, that he was actually born in Fort Meade, Florida, and he's proud of that because he behaves like a born and bred Pittsburgher, but also that he ever suited up for someone else. I've frequently made the case that Kutch is one of the top 10 players in franchise history. That's not a challenging case to make. I've made the case that he should at least be considered for the Baseball Hall of Fame, even if you want to put him in the same bracket as, say, Joey Votto or Todd Helton. And yeah, Votto never technically played for anyone other than the Reds because he didn't make it all the way up with the Blue Jays, at least not in a regular season game. Helton spent his whole career in Denver. And Kutch, he should have, he should have. You should be able to go to the back of that baseball card and erase Philadelphia, New York, San Francisco. I even forgot Milwaukee. He was in Milwaukee. What was he doing in Milwaukee? Whatever the case, he's here. He will be here next year. Ben Cherington's not going to be able to do a thing about that, even if he'd want to. And we're all that much luckier for it. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragececk.org. That's gunstoragececk.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Bob, who says, DK, what's with the consistent lack of hustle? When someone from the Pirates hits a ground ball, more often than not, he trots toward first base. If even that. Opposing infielders know there's no rush to corral the ball, set and throw. Numerous Pirates do this. Brian Reynolds is a notable exception, but not enough follow his example. Bob, you're going over the top with this. You have a fair point as it applies to some incidents and to a couple of players. But quoting you directly here, more often than not, he trots toward first base. If I start naming names back to you and I say, does Nick Gonzalez do that? If I say, does Connor Joe do that? Does Joey Bart do that? You'll see what I mean. Now, that said, if it's just one or two guys and they're regulars and you see that, that's a problem. There's no need to stretch it. It's already bad enough. We've seen it with O'Neal Cruz. We've seen it with Rowdy Tellez. We've seen it with Ke'Bryan Hayes. Those are the three that come to mind for me. Now, here again, 3 is 3 too many for something as simple as getting down the line 90 feet. Everyone should do it the way Reynolds does. Everyone. The only time that I'd make an exception, and this won't surprise you, would be as if there's a medical consideration. For example, a month ago, before Kutch went on the IL, he was told, and I'm saying told, we know the knee's not in great shape. We need your bat in the lineup. Be careful. Get a hit. Take your base. We'll run for you. Okay, great. Similarly, Cruz has had different periods over the course of this summer in coming back from a major reconstructive surgery on his ankle, where he's been told to chill a little bit. Not every time and not even most of the time, but I'm throwing that out there as another reasonable exception. Every other instance, no excuse. Every other player, no excuse. And I've got no doubt that between that and other fundamental issues, these are part of what's piling up all around Derek Shelton. And justifiably so. It's bad enough to have a general manager who can't acquire or develop talent. It's that much worse when the field manager allows them to not give their very best. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.